What's up, everybody? This is Cyrus here with Afterlife Topics in Metaphysics. I'm a researcher and author. We discuss topics like life after death, out-of-body experiences, astral projection, spirituality, etc. And this afternoon, real quick, I wanted to share some thoughts about the topic of love and how this changes our priorities about life on the other side. Real quick, if I look paler than usual, if that's even possible, I'm kind of sick right now, and so bear with me. So I'm bringing this topic up because I've read a lot of near-death experiences. A near-death experience is a much more advanced out-of-body experience because it's somebody actually entering the other side and basically being turned away. So it tends to be a lot more powerful of an experience to somebody who doesn't even normally have experiences like this. It's like it's triggered by cardiac arrest. People fly out of their bodies, they appear on the other side, they appear in like astral worlds, or they have cosmic celestial experiences, even, many levels above even that. And so I've read, hundreds and hundreds of NDEs at this point, and there's a common theme that I find, and this is not something I'm going to cite specifically, because if you read NDEs, you'll also hear the same story being told, which is somebody will have an encounter with like cosmic consciousness, a moment of like samadhi consciousness, entering union consciousness, being showered with like an indescribable kind of cosmic love that washes over you and is like the most intense, I guess people say, beautiful feeling you can ever experience. And sometimes people, like, all they want is to go into that state forever and say goodbye to everything else. However, when somebody has an NDE and they get a taste of that experience, and for the record, I think that when people have these experiences with the light, they have these divine cosmic encounters, I don't think that that's the afterlife. I think that is a connection with your higher self, with like source consciousness, and it's like a gift that is given to people when they're dying. But I think that the place people go to as individuals when they die is like the astral plane, or realms, sometimes above the astral, kind of causal mental planes, but for the most part, I think people go to the same places that we experience, like in astral projection, states like that, kind of like a paradise version of the world we're in right now. But nonetheless, people have these cosmic encounters, right? And it's something people can also tap into via meditation. So it's like this indescribable sense of love that's being endowed upon them by some higher source consciousness that most people identify as God. I don't really identify it that way, but most people, especially from Western culture, we see it as God. So in these near-death experience accounts, what we commonly see is if somebody loves their child, they have children, a daughter, or a spouse they love, when they reach that threshold, no matter how intense this higher dimensional contact experience is, the love that they have for their spouse or for their children, a lot of the times wins over in the end. Now, sometimes we hear about NDEs where they say, I didn't even think about my family, I just wanted to be in this state of divine union consciousness forever. And this could relate to some specific issues that they have. Maybe it's not as loving of a household. But one thing I've seen a lot of is people reaching a threshold and saying, then I thought about my daughter, and like there's no way I'm going to abandon her. I don't care how cosmic or celestial or how good this feeling is. I love my daughter more. And they're willing to give up like this sense of like unbelievable expansive consciousness and all this whole celestial experience, if it gives them a chance to go back with their loved ones. They're willing to be maybe in a broken body in a hospital, but they're not going to give up like their son or their daughter, right? And this is very interesting to me because it's a rebuttal of, again, I was ragging on like Buddhism and Eastern religious thought a few videos back, And I'm going to rag on it a little bit more, because some of these guys claim that the pinnacle of existence is to go to that state of higher supreme consciousness, and literally everything else is a distraction, right? So do you like chocolate? It's a distraction. Do you love your family? It's a distraction. Do you love gardening? It's a distraction. So all these things are like physical pursuits, and we have this one monolinear path of joining with cosmic consciousness, and that's all we should do. We should just meditate forevermore, and then that's it. Well, if that was really the case, then we wouldn't have people being confronted with the highest level of consciousness and being like, screw this, I'm going back to my loved one, because that's what matters. Then when you read more into near-death experiences, like the higher level stuff, the encounters with God, the encounters with angelic beings and things like that, you learn about like the lessons people bring back. And a lot of times it comes down to like, I incarnated to learn about love, to learn about, loving each other, and maybe having a child or having somebody I really, really care about. And why then are entities coming from this cosmic so-called perfect state of existence and deciding, they're going to learn about individual love between two people? Well, what if the individual love between two people is just as profound and just as powerful, if not maybe much more powerful, than entering this divine source consciousness state? Because that's kind of the evidence that I'm looking at here. So that means that no, a relationship with somebody is not a trivial thing. In fact, it may even be the highest level of existence that we can find, is just the love between two people here in the mortal realm that we can carry on with us like to the other side. And it also is a rebuttal to the people who say, oh, the astral plane is insignificant. I've known a couple people like that who said, don't waste your time with the astral plane. It's a distraction from entering a union state of consciousness, and that we should be aspiring for something much higher and greater than that. Well, what if your loved one is on the astral plane, and that's where you can continue to share the same life that you had with that person from here? Then how is an astral existence trivial? It's a chance to continue a beautiful life you had here, now make it much, much, much better on that side, and having developed those close bonds with the tough life here, right? So that's a rebuttal again to that. So my final point then is, I think that the people who discount the power of love between two people or multiple people or a family or a romantic relationship, the people who discount that probably haven't really experienced that much love like that here on this side. So even somebody who thinks of themselves as like a a really enlightened teacher, they may not really be as enlightened as they think they are unless they're exploring loving relationships here on this side. And certainly some of the teachers do, but I've also encountered people, I don't know as well, especially younger people. I think younger people who don't have as much life experience, they haven't, had close loved ones, they haven't realized how much they love the people in their life, who tend to get a little bit arrogant about the topic, and they just talk about the afterlife in terms of getting the best possible deal and ascending to the highest level possible, and they don't, they kind of disregard interpersonal relationships. And I think it's because people, especially like 20-somethings, they haven't had the life experience yet to understand what all that means, and how that an interpersonal relationship here can be greater than whatever this highest level consciousness experience is. And so at the end of the day, I think we can have both, so we're not limited to one or the other. We can experience both types of existences, both types of cosmic love and love between two individuals. But it's pretty silly to discount one for the other, and so that's kind of what I'm calling out in this video. So those are my thoughts. Please tell me what your thoughts are. Again, I'm not trashing like higher levels of consciousness or samadhi states or kundalini rising experiences, but what I'm saying is it's almost like that's a different animal than individualized love between two people and interpersonal relationships. And it's such a different concept that even entities coming from those high levels, they want to experience the individualized love, because in some ways it's an equally profound type of existence. So keep that in mind, the next time you're thinking about, people in your life who you love and care about. And if you don't have many loving relationships, it's something to work on. You can just meditate on how much you appreciate a friend or somebody in your life, and how it doesn't have to be a very complicated thing, but just the love we have for each other here, it's very, very important. And the people who say it's not, I think they're missing out. So just keep that in mind. These are just some thoughts. If you like this stuff, please hit subscribe, help keep this channel going. If you want to get involved in our classes, we have classes twice a week. You can find out at afterlifetopics.com/university, where we talk about life after death and a lot of things like that. Also, by doing so, you become a patron of Afterlife Topics. You help keep this whole thing going. And so I appreciate that as well. You can check out the Facebook group, the website, and all that. And I'll see you on the next video.